Good evening, everyone. This is Dan again. It's week 5. We're going to be continue talking about Joseph. He actually, with his brothers last week, was actually taken captive. Actually sold to the Egypt. Actually, was working as a slave in for Potiphar in the Egyptian area. And so today we're going to be continuing on talking about him and how his life had changed. Kind of a rags to riches type story. Our title today is Prison to Palace. So, and we're going to be talking about a little bit later about power. With today's elections going on these days, as far as that, we're looking at electing our president and how we select that president and what we're looking for in a president and how they might use their power to help people. We're going to discuss that a little bit more today as well as far as our lesson. Let me start off with our story about Joseph. While Joseph was in Egypt, he was forced to work as a slave for Potiphar. Potiphar saw that Joseph was a hard worker. He made Joseph his personal assistant. Joseph was in charge of the household and property. Seeing that Joseph was a handsome man, Potiphar's wife fell in love with him. Joseph did not want to make trouble in Potiphar's house. This made Potiphar's wife angry, so she told lies about Joseph, and he was thrown into prison. While Joseph was in prison, the Lord helped him and was good to him. He even made the jailer like Joseph so much that he put him in charge of all other prisoners and of everything that was done in the jail. The jailer did not worry about anything because the Lord was with Joseph and made him successful in all that he did. 2 years later, the king of Egypt dreamed he was standing beside the Nile. Suddenly, 7 fat, healthy cows came up from the river and started eating grass along the bank. Then 7 ugly, skinny cows came out of the river and ate the fat, healthy cows. When this happened, the king woke up. The king went back to sleep and had another dream. This time, 7 full heads of grain were growing on a single stalk. Later, 7 other heads of grain appeared, but they were thin and scorched by the east wind. The heads of grain swallowed up the 7 full heads. Again, the king woke up and it had only been a dream. The next morning, the king was upset. So he called his magicians and the wise men and told them about his dream. None of them could tell him what the dreams meant. Meanwhile, the king's servant remembered that he had once been in prison with Joseph. Joseph had told him the meaning of his dreams. So the king sent for Joseph and told him the dreams. Joseph replied, "Your Majesty, both your dreams mean the same thing, and in them God has shown what he is going to do. The 7 good cows stand for 7 years, and so do the 7 good heads of grain. The 7 skinny, ugly cows that came up later stand for 7 years, as do the 7 bad heads of grain that were scorched by the east wind. The dreams mean there will be 7 years when there won't be enough grain. It is just as I said. God has shown what he intends to do. For 7 years, Egypt will have more than enough grain, but that will be followed by 7 years when there won't be enough, and the good years of plenty will be forgotten. Everywhere in Egypt, people will be starving. The famine will be so bad that no one will remember that once there had been plenty." Joseph then told the king to choose someone wise in charge of Egypt. The person should gather food and store it during the good years. Then there will be food to eat during the famine. The king liked the plan. The king told Joseph, "God is the one who has shown you these things. No one else is as wise as you are and knows as much as you do. I'm putting you in charge of my palace, and everybody will have to obey you. No one will be over you except me. You are now governor of all Egypt." Then the king took off his royal ring and put it on Joseph's finger and he gave him fine clothes to wear and placed a gold chain around his neck. Joseph gathered and stored grain during the 7 good years. Then famine came to Egypt. The people begged for bread. Joseph sowed them grain. People from many countries came to Egypt because the famine in their home country was so severe. That is our story for today. So, again, we're talking about the king of Egypt. He's actually talking to Joseph and put him in power. So what do you think power really means? Does that mean you can tell people what to do and you can say, hey, I don't like to do that, you go do it? Is that really helping people out? There are many things that we can use power. If you go to our book as far as the spotlight, if you turn to page 11, you'll see there's a few stories that are going along with it. We can use our power to help other people. What kind of power do we have? Of course, as I said, power over is when you are in charge of something. You can tell people what to do. The principal of the school has power over the school itself. A prime minister or president has power over the country. And likewise, in this story, Pharaoh gave Joseph power over Egypt. He was able to make decisions and help people as far as getting through the 7 years of bad time frame as for the famine. Of course, there's other powers. With power with, if you're looking at working as a group, the power of working with others to do something that would be hard to do alone. Let's face it, when we're talking about something like our food pantry, we have people that help out with that. We have people that are donating food to us. We have people who are working to help our people that are coming in that are in need, that need to help with food. There are people at Goodwill that are helping people as far as disabilities and that type of thing. So that would be people that are working together to help other people. Then, of course, there is another power, is that power within is our own feeling of being valued as a child of God. When you know God loves you, you can use the power to have within to follow God's way and do what is right. Today, there's many things that's going on in the world. We certainly want to make sure that we use God as within us as far as making us as the right compass and being Christian and childlike God. So, we're going to turn, actually, that certainly is where we want to talk about as far as power. Take some time to think about what's going on presidential election. How you can actually use power working with as a team, maybe team in the school, maybe it's a team of your friends, family members, thinking about maybe you want something that you want to do for the community, maybe cleaning up, helping out and cleaning up somebody's yard. There are many things that we can do, but keep in mind, as a child of God, we have that power within that actually to help us provide that guidance and what's right and what we should need to do as far as helping other people. So let's go ahead and finish up here. Let's turn to page 25 in our book here. We're going to talk about a famine. We talked about famine. On this story, we had 7 years of famine. Famine, what is a famine? Famine happens when there is extreme shortages of food in the world. What can that be caused by? Well, maybe not lack of rain. Maybe it's bad weather. Maybe it's too much heat. There are many causes what can lead to famine. Maybe there's actually locusts that there, as in the plague of Egypt. We certainly have an opportunity that it actually destroys our food source as well. So famine is actually the extreme shortage of food in the world. So in that situation, if we're looking at it, there are some choices that they were looking in the biblical time. Some of the choices that they could have, and as we saw, as Joseph had helped with, people came from all sorts of country to help them and buy food from the other places. Eat food that will be saved up from different time frames. Obviously, Joseph helped out as far as saving food, grains, and that type of thing from those 7 years of plenty. And lastly, leave your home and move to a new place where there is food. Makes sense. Many times, if you're looking back in our history, the Irish actually came over to the United States. Many people migrated over to the United States because of the potato famine. And actually, potato was a major source and led to an extreme famine in Ireland. And so people did come over for that. There are many other locations that we know in today's, in Africa. There are places that actually, due to the fact of droughts, we do have famines there as well. Then people migrate to other locations to be able to support their families. So think about that. How do you think that, how can you help if there was a famine in the world? Do you think you can actually work with other people as far as looking at maybe working as a team? Maybe you find an organization that you actually can donate to, money-wise. Maybe you can have mom and dad do that for you as far as that. Maybe you can collect cans and actually be saving that money that you're doing for recycling and then certainly donating it to an organization that would feed your family as well. If there are people migrating in our areas, we certainly can do that. If we're in a famine-stricken area, we certainly could, if we have extra food, we can certainly share that with our local food pantries as well. So today, let's think about all those people that are out in the world that may not have enough food on their tables. And let's go ahead and think about them, keep them in our prayers, and don't forget those people around us. Keep in mind those things that we can do with the power that we have to help those around us. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope you're having a good school year. I know it's been very difficult. I have to say 2020 has certainly not been easy for anyone. Certainly keep in mind and keep in prayers as far as your family and friends, and certainly pray for a healthy living for them and that they may not get COVID. And certainly keep in mind, wash your hands, wear a face mask, keep your social distancing, and keep healthy and think of those around you. I hope this was a helpful tool this week, and I hope you enjoyed yourself and you have a great day. We'll see you next week.